And we're live. So this is San Miguel. Welcome to San Miguel TV. Let me get some more light up in here. Let's see if I can see that. All right, so that's a little bit of light. All right, so we're live. This is San Miguel. Welcome to San Miguel TV. Sorry I'm a little late, everybody. Had some issues going live. It's pretty much my first time starting to do this. Just because as an editor, which is what I'm used to, that's my style of videos pretty much. It takes a lot of time. And I don't really have that much time to edit these videos anymore like I used to. So what I'm gonna try to start doing on a weekly basis is pretty much going live, which doesn't require a lot of editing. Doesn't require any editing, but it is definitely a little more riskier. And I gotta watch my tongue. For those that were on my last video, excuse my vulgar language. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. But it is my channel. It is late night, and sometimes some things may slip, which is not the focus of this channel. The focus of this channel is to expose cults like the ICGJC, which I believe I have been pretty successful at. What's going on, Jimmy Jordan? I see you on there. Thank you for coming on the live. So the title of this live is from Israelite to Atheist. I figured I should explain pretty much who I am and why I call myself an atheist. It came up on the last live. Wasn't really my intention. It kind of led to that, looking at the comment section, which is fine. Anybody could come on here and comment. I mean, I really don't mind that at all. This topic today is pretty much how I went from Black Hebrew Israelite to an atheist. Now, let me define those things first, I guess, and then I'll explain the journey. So, first of all, an atheist. Let's do that. An atheist is a person that doesn't believe that a God exists, right? So, I mean, a God is a proposition that has been made since, thousands of years. People have been believing in different types of gods, and the Abrahamic God, which is known as Yahweh, or the Black Hebrew Israelites know God as Yahweh, most of them, and they'll call Jesus Christ Yahweh Shai. They believe in these gods, right? So you always had different types of beliefs. You always had people proclaiming that this God exists. This is my God, and my God is stronger than your God, and it's always been this back and forth, right? And to me, it's all superstition. I grew up in a very religious, superstitious family, so I know that side very well. I know that type of person very well. I go by an atheist, so I'm not convinced that there is a creator. I'm not convinced that it's Jesus Christ. I'm not convinced that it's Allah. I don't believe in any of these gods. As a believer, as a Hebrew Israelite, I believed in one God. Now, there are many different gods out there that you can choose according to your liking, who you want to believe in, and you know what values, I guess, line up with what you feel are right. As a Hebrew Israelite, the values that I felt were right, and what led me into that was, first of all, I was already a believer in the Bible. So, I mean, that was the first, that was my first mistake. I was raised this way, and the majority of people that are believers in the Bible, it's pretty much because they were raised this way. And let me know if you guys can hear me pretty clear and how everything sounds. I'm gonna have to get headphones eventually because I realize the audio is not great, but you know, we'll make it work. So yeah, going back to when I was an Israelite and pretty much how I was already a believer in the Bible. And, you know, so when I was a believer in the Bible, I was easily, because I was a believer in the Bible, I was easily swayed and convinced with the Bible, because what my cousin, who was a Hebrew Israelite that introduced me to the ICGJC and this breakdown of Jesus Christ, pretty much the description of Jesus Christ. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad the sound is okay. But so, you know, for those that are coming in now, I'm just talking about my journey from Hebrew Israelite to atheist. And I'm defining these two terms. You know, so a Hebrew Israelite now, before I get into the story, a Hebrew Israelite, for those that don't know, is a black Hebrew Israelite, believes that they are descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There are different types of black Hebrew Israelite groups out there, but it is an ideology. And under that, you know, it's like an umbrella of different groups, from the ones that believe in the 12 tribes charts. There's some that don't believe in the New Testament. You know, there's some that you can see, what's the name? Bobby Brown and you know, Whitney Houston. They actually went out to Israel, and there was a group out there that's already set up. And this group, I believe, is the Nation of Yah, I believe they're called. So this is another group. They don't even believe in Jesus Christ. I think they started out in Chicago, and they were up and coming in the 60s. So the 60s was a whole different time for the black Hebrew Israelite ideology, because with time, religions change and evolve, and, you know, pretty much different things get tweaked. And, you know, this is what happened with the black Hebrew Israelites. The group that I was involved with now, and when I came in, this was pretty much already called the Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. This was in 2004. The group had gone through some name changes. They pretty much believe that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. And I guess because these three ethnicities are the minorities and the downtrodden people, and are also all part of a group. Are all located and very heavily located in New York City, which is the headquarters of the Black Hebrew Israelite belief. And pretty much a lot of Afro or Negro spirituality starts in Harlem. So yeah, this is where the headquarters of the group that I was a part of, you know, was located at. And this was 1 West 125th Street. They now are a few blocks down 125th Street on 1941 Madison Avenue, pretty much on that corner of Madison Avenue and 125th Street, a very popular corner. So we have a few people in the chat. Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for coming in and to my live, pretty much as I explain my journey from Hebrew Israelite to an atheist. Now you said I missed a comment from Mr. Pro K. I'm sorry, can't pronounce that. It says, well, at least the costumes are imaginative. Hey, we got pretty creative with those costumes, man. My grandmother even got into sewing some of those costumes, and this is something that my grandmother always did, was sew clothes. She sews clothes. Every time somebody in the family has a baby, she's sewing a little sweater or something. She actually I got her into making the Black Hebrew Israelite, garments. And the style of those garments is very interesting. Just to, take a little detour into that topic, since that came up. And that's a good topic, because the clothing, the costume is a uniform, right? This is like very cult-like. This is a way of separating you from everyone else. And this is a way of having a dress code. And it's crazy. It's pretty much, it's just like a cult, which comes with a language, comes with a dress code, comes with a set of morals. That's all part of being in a cult. So the dress code is pretty much, I don't know how it got to, what it looked like, because I've seen all different types of groups that create different types of garments. And I gotta say, some of them actually look pretty dope and pretty nice. Like you could wear them out as a Halloween costume or something, joking. But I mean, it looked, I used to think I looked fresh. You feel kind of regal in them, and they were cut a certain way. Especially, the IUIC has some nice looking garments too. That's the guys that dress in the purple. It looks dope, but you still like putting yourself out there. It's like, you're pretty much showing that you have an allegiance to a group. That's what the damn costumes are all about. It's like a uniform, pretty much. Always reminded me of Power Rangers. Listen, man, that's kind of how I felt, like a superhero, like a Power Ranger. Man, when I would put that thing on, I still have a few of them up in my closet. I didn't want to throw them out because, like I was saying, my grandmother actually put a lot of work into making these things. And what she did was just look at how the ICGJC was making it. I pretty much got my first garment from the ICGJC, which we had to pay like $400. But no, my grandmother made a garment before that. I think what I did was show her a garment that a brother had. That's what it was. And I brought it over to the house. She looked at it real quick. She was like, okay, I could do that. I could do that. And I told her how to design it. I wanted it a certain way on the bottom with the fringes. So I got all the material. I went to Joann's Fabrics. I even went to Michael's Arts and Crafts to get buttons and little things to make the garment look dope. And it actually looked really nice. So I still got some of those, man. I think I might throw them on, and do some parody one day and go out like Mike Epps did one time with the Hebrew Israelite. He did a whole parody. Eric Andre with Adult Swim did a whole parody too of the Hebrew Israelite. Because they are a character, it is a character. But, let me go into the comments and then I'll return to the story pretty much. It always reminded me of Power Rangers. You better stick to that identity or else, yeah, pretty much. You are an atheist, like not accepting any doctrine of faith or not acknowledging a higher power. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And you're Salcedo. Welcome to San Miguel TV. So, great question. I'm an atheist, right? So he's asking a great question. Is it that I don't accept any doctrine or of faith, or not acknowledging a higher power? Because you could be either or, and you could be both. So I don't acknowledge a higher power. See, when it's put like a higher power, it could be very tricky, because there are higher powers that like forces, like, gravity, like I consider that a higher power, I guess. The sun, like But if you're speaking about a creator, an agent that decided to create everything the way that it was, or the way that it is, I don't believe in that type of creator. But I am pretty spiritual, man. Like, it doesn't mean that I can't be spiritual. Like, I think I'm open to the possibility of anything out there. It's just that I don't make any definitive, confirmative beliefs until I have something. I like to speculate. I like to get into conspiracy theories because it's very interesting. I used to believe in a lot of that stuff. I don't believe in a lot of conspiracy theories, but I'll entertain it, right? So, not accepting any doctrine now of faith. So I was, when it comes to faith to me is unreliable. I won't say it's useless because it can be useful, but it's unreliable because look at where I am pretty much as a former ICGJC member. So it says no. We know the higher power is the creator, and obviously the one I believe in, right? How did you get introduced to epistemology? Epistemology. Wow, I love that word. You don't hear that word as often as you should. I knew that this whole live was going to turn into, answering questions, which is fine. I'll still get to the story eventually. But yeah, you just, Jibby Jordan, man, you don't hear that word enough. I heard Vocab Malone use that word once, and I was very, I'm very impressed by the knowledge that Vocab Malone has. He inspired me to go and learn more and more. If y'all don't know who that is, he's actually a Christian apologist. So he's a man of faith, and I completely accept that entire worldview, right? I know on my last live I was getting on theists hard because I had a Hebrew Israelite asking some really stupid questions in the comments section, and it's questions that I hear constantly that project so much about the person that it just frustrates me every time I come across a person like that. And also it reminds me of how I used to be. And man, that shit has to be cut because I know it better than some of these Hebrew Israelites think that they know it. I know their doctrine better than they think that they know it, especially some of these new guys. I wanted to go over my all my videos pretty much so y'all could see everything that I did over the years and how I actually had a debate. Well, it wasn't even really a debate, but a conversation with IUIC. And as they came up to me pretty much at a Walmart parking lot, and I seen them, and I knew that they were going to come up to me as I was getting out of my car, as I was parking. I go on my phone and I turn on the audio app and start recording audio, which I love that app, by the way. It's very clear. I had that in my pocket, in my pants, and the audio came out very good. And you can hear this conversation. And I love that video. It's one of my favorite videos. I'm surprised. I don't even think it hit 1,000 views yet. Very strange. I think IUIC, they like to ban and ghost a lot of people that do videos about them. They're on top. They're very on top of their game when it comes to, PR, public relations, and this whole, content creating thing on YouTube. But you can tell in the conversation that I was having with these gentlemen with IUIC that I pretty much knew these guys were young. They were pretty much new into it. And, they were pretty much fresh into the belief. So I could tell, but I kind of went with it and I was like, yeah, what are you guys talking about here? They gave me the flyer and, started talking about the whole belief, which is just the same thing. This is exactly what I used to do when I was a ICGJC member. I used to get on, I used to find places. I mean, and in that same location, that Walmart that I go and still shop, I was actually probably one of the first Hebrew Israelites to even hand out flyers in that location. So I broke ground there already And here you are, other groups years later, after I'm already, not believing in the doctrine anymore. Here they come and talk to me about, the same thing that I used to go and talk to other people about. So I already knew what they were going to say. That's why it was easy for me to not let them take control of the conversation. I wasn't really too aggressive. I just asked questions, and you can tell that they quickly backed off. But yeah, just to go into that, and epistemology, though, really just having a foundation for what you believe and a reason for what you believe, because reason and logic is just the greatest tool that you can equip yourself with to combat people like cult leaders. That's why I fell into the trap that I fell in. It was because I didn't have a good understanding of logic and epistemology. Excuse me. So that is a great topic that I don't think I even started doing a video on, because I have tons of videos even on my channel. I think I have about 80. I don't even know, because I have some videos that are like instrumentals, because I mess with the beats too and make some music. I'm a big music buff, hip hop, religion, politics, movies. I mean, I get into it all. And investing, that's a new thing I've been getting into. Investing and just trying to build wealth, which is very important. But this channel is not about any of that except for the religious talk. I tried to get into the political talk. If you see some of my last videos, I tried. They started shadow banning my channel and ghosting my videos and not suggesting. And if you look at the what during this whole this whole political and electoral year, this is an election year, they did a lot of content like blocking. What do they call it? Not editing, but they would pretty much dox you. They did it on Twitter, they did it on Facebook, and there was just a lot of freedom of speech just halting. They weren't allowing people to express themselves if it had a political view, a political twist. And I started talking about that because BLM, to me, was looking a lot like a damn cult, like a political cult. Because you can have a political cult, you can have a religious cult, you can have a cult based on anything. There's cults based on raising horses. There's cults based on everything that you can think of, man. Cults on Pokemon, like, come on, man. You name it. People just like being part of groups and, creating a community, which is cool. It's fine. As long as you're not taking advantage of people, as long as you base everything on reality, and even if it's not really, all this Pokemon stuff, of course, not based on reality, but it's harmless. Some of these religious beliefs are not based on reality, and they can be harmful. Like you see in Africa with some of these real Islamic tribes, man, they are very aggressive towards anybody that just is not, complicit to them and just not agreeing with them. And sometimes these groups get into power, political power. So religion can get very messy. So, I started pretty much going and speaking against religion. But once I started speaking against it's talking about politics and talking about the Democrats, man, they started my channel just got so many less views and suggestions. And I realized my videos weren't getting out there. And that was happening to a lot of people that pretty much weren't talking like a typical liberal, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what was happening during that time. So, I was like, let me stay away from that topic. It's a very sensitive topic. It's more sensitive than religion right now. But let's get to the comment section now. So, yeah, I'm trying to pull a friend of mine out of the IUIC. Oh, snap. I have a cousin that's in the IUIC. The first time I've ever heard of this is an older cousin now, because the cousin that introduced me to the ICGJC, and when I came in, that's a whole different cousin. Like me and her, that's a different one, that we were actually closer in age and we lived together. So we were always around each other. We would go to the classes, we would listen to the classes together, and we did everything together. I have an older cousin now that used to be part of what is called the ICGJC now. It was called ISUPK. So that cousin of mine, he's from New York too. He's from Yonkers. He's part of IUIC, up there in Yonkers or the Bronx. And IUIC is everywhere. I've seen them in Orlando. I've seen them in Jacksonville. I've seen them in Tampa, and I've seen them in the Bronx, Manhattan, and in Queens. I believe I've seen them also. Yeah, in Queens. They'd be on Jamaica Avenue. They'd be by the Queens Center Mall on Queens Boulevard, if y'all from New York. Every major city, really, no matter where you are, they're in Phoenix, they're in Los Angeles, they're in San Francisco, all over the place. IUIC is one of the more popular ones. And actually, Kendrick Lamar has a family member that put him on to this whole Israelite thing. If you listen to Kendrick Lamar, you can hear some of his music has, some of his Hebrew Israelite rhetoric, because one of his family members is a high-ranking member of the IUIC in Jacksonville, I believe. Either Jacksonville or Tallahassee, one or the other. I know it's somewhere up there in North Florida. So it's permeating hip-hop culture. It's out here. It's you hear about it. You hear about the shooter in Union City, Jersey. He supposedly was part of the ICGJC at one point. I don't know how true that is. I don't know whatever came out of that. But supposedly it was the landlord. This is what the New York Post apparently got from the landlord. So supposedly they interviewed the landlord, and the landlord said, "Yeah, I've seen that guy out there before." Now, I don't know how true that is. That landlord didn't really talk to too many people like that. I don't know. Could be true, I guess. But I remember I did a video on that too. That got a good amount of views, actually. But man, around that time, it was just very crazy, because the Hebrew Israelites were out, on damn attack mode, trying to clean themselves up, because every time these things happen, they look bad. So that was David Anderson, the man that did that shooting. And listen, this whole Hebrew Israelite thing is very popular. It's growing, so it's important to understand how they talk. It's important to, know how they debate, so you can know how to rebuttal them, because, y'all might have family members that you want to get out. And, I know how to combat them, because I know why they believe in what they believe. Not only do I know what they believe, I know why they believe in what they believe. I know the reasoning behind their beliefs, and it's a trap. They don't even realize that they're in a circle of lies, that they just go from one lie to the next, and it's just all lies connected to lies, connected to their faith, whatever. But here we got a few people in the comments section. We got, how do you like arguing and debating, from straight up name calling and banter to philosophical type reasoning and discussing? I can do both. I do a little bit of I won't just do name calling. I'll do name calling with some philosophical reasoning behind it, so it's not just I'm just name calling. But yeah, when it comes to Hebrew Israelites, I know how they are. I give them the energy that they give me. They are very hateful. They already believe that you're the devil if you don't believe, especially if you're a former member like myself that declares themselves an atheist too. Oh man, I'm the worst of the worst. So Mr. Salcedo says, so you are a naturalist of metaphysics in the sense of questioning the universe, or just a mediator of cause and effects and use philosophical reason to expose higher truth? That's a very deep question. I like questions like this, but I don't even know if I can answer something like that because I don't know if I completely understand everything that you're talking about in there. But let me just read it one more time, make sure I understand. So I'm a naturalist of metaphysics. You see, but I don't believe in metaphysics. I don't think I believe in that. Metaphysics. That's another. I don't know. I got to do more research into that. But from what I did study in metaphysics, it just seems like another type of religion, spirituality that doesn't need a specific God, but it's still kind of, on the theistic sense in some way. I've listened to Phil Valentine before. Phil Valentine speaks about metaphysics a lot. I got into that as I was leaving the Hebrew Israelite belief, which I definitely want to get back to that story, but I want to get into some of your comments. I like interacting, live. I love doing these lives. I'm gonna definitely keep doing these. I'm trying to do it every Sunday at 9, which seems to be like the only time I have free right now. So my Fly Guy was good, bro. Fly Guy Locks, that's my brother. Another former ICGJC member and former Hebrew Israelite, who is pretty much on the same wavelength as me. He actually was in a video. I remember you did one video at least, talking about your experience as a former Hebrew Israelite and a former ICGJC member on the Need to Be Free channel. I used to watch that channel a lot. But yeah, so never going back to that BS. Definitely. Me either, bro. They resort to name calling when they can't win on facts. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's what they do pretty much. I get that all the time from these cats, man. So I mean, but you gotta kind of expect that, right? With the damn Hebrew Israelites, you gotta kind of expect them to be childish and immature and barbaric. It's like they're so normal amongst the amongst the Hebrew Israelite groups. I'm not to bash all Hebrew Israelites because there's a few Hebrew Israelites that I actually follow, that I actually like listening to, that are more, logical and all that. But I think I missed a question from Mr. Proclet, something. Proclet, I don't know. Hebrew Israelites, we all know Scientology is the truth. Hail Zenu. Scientology, that's a whole other thing, right? Man, that's even more bugged out than the Hebrew Israelites. But okay, 2 hard questions for Hebrew Israelites. 1, this is from Passport Chop. So these 2 hard questions. 1, Matthew 24 and 34. Jesus says, this generation, did he mean the 1st century AD or 2020 AD? Is the curse of Matthew 25 and 27-25 still in effect thanks to Israelites? So I don't know what you're talking about with Matthew 27-25, but I'm going to look that up real quick. But I know what you're talking about with Matthew 24 and 34, which is a very good topic, man. Great topic, actually, because it exposes that Jesus Christ, pretty much, they're looking for Jesus Christ to come back right now. According to the scriptures, he's already come back. Depending on what scriptures you want to go by, because the Bible is contradictions, but I mean, I don't know. I guess it's all about interpretation too, because the thing with the Bible is that, there were people that wrote after, other books were already written, and they could see, well, this book says this, and I could rewrite certain things to fulfill. Like, you have a story where it talks about Jesus Christ came on a donkey, or humble, and, it tells you it was a prophecy fulfilled in, I think, the book of Zechariah, maybe. I don't even know. It doesn't matter where it's at, but I know it's supposed to be a prophecy that was fulfilled. And these things were already written. So you could easily say, oh yeah, definitely somebody came and fulfilled in prophet and fulfilled this prophecy, and you don't have any real proof to go off of. All you have is something that somebody wrote. And that's why I'm an atheist, because I can't prove any of these things. I can't prove that the people that wrote that really saw what they saw. There are certain things that are corroborated in the Bible. So the Bible is a great piece of literature, when it comes to historical context. I'm not saying that it's accurate 100%, but it does have some accurate things in there that are useful for historians to corroborate with other stories, which I'll get into that. I've done videos on that, but just to get into this, he described it. Okay. So it says Matthew 27:25 is the verse where the Israelites choose Barabbas instead of Jesus, and they say they want a curse on their children because they didn't like him that much. So it's the curse of Matthew 27:25. So in effect, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't believe in those. I don't believe in curses. I don't believe in when I say I don't believe in it, I have never seen anything like that. I know that people claim that there was a curse put on them, or they know some superstition. There's a lot of superstitious claims out there. So I take it all as claims, just like the Bible scriptures that talk about Jesus Christ walking on water. That's just a claim. I don't know if that happened. There's Bible scriptures that tell you that Jesus Christ turned water into wine. That's just a claim. I don't know if that happened, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know if the people interpreting it, the story, got everything correct. Maybe he did turn water to wine by doing a natural damn process of fermentation or something. And it just doesn't describe it that way. And it makes it seem as if it was a magical thing. But that's what people do when they can't describe or explain something. They resort to a magical explanation, which is the easy way out. So let's go back to the comment section here. I've been away for 3 days. Did you miss me? Oh, yeah. Right. Let's see. I agree with you when you said the Bible contradicts itself. Yeah, the Bible does contradict itself. But it's useful. Like I was talking about the book of Job. That contradicts some things when it comes to Satan. How Satan was able to go up and down from earth to heaven and talk to God. And then God allowed Satan to do certain things and gave Satan the power. I think that contradicts a lot of supposed values of a God, of the Christian God. So yeah. So I mean, I remember when I escaped, when I deprogrammed from the Hebrew Israelite doctrine and the Hebrew Israelite belief. When I deprogrammed, I was still a believer in God, and I was still very spiritual, and I believed in a lot of spiritual things. Some of which I don't even really believe in like that anymore. But mostly, just I believe that there was a creator. I still believe. So it was like slow transition. It was okay. I went from being a Hebrew Israelite to being a believer, to still believing in the Bible, but not believing in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. So I still believed in the Bible for a short amount of time. And then from being a believer in the Bible, I went to not believing in the Bible and still believing in a God, which is just a theist. A theist is just anybody that believes in a creator. Muslims are theists, Christians are theists, Hebrew Israelites are theists. And there are these particular theists, which is like a new age spiritualism, right? Which is, I think that's the official name for these people that want to still believe in a God, but they don't have a particular God that they believe in. But they just believe that there has to be a creator. And that's where my issue comes in, is where people think that there has to be a creator. That's their belief. So they have the burden of proof there. I don't think that there has to be a creator, because we don't have anything. We can't compare any other universes and, to the one that we have to say Well, we know that this universe was created by God, and so this universe is probably also created by a God. We don't have that. That's why science is very important to understand, because you have to be able to test things and replicate and compare and contrast. You can't really do that when you have a claim of a creator creating a universe and creating things, because we can't compare that to anything. So I don't have any information on that. Nobody has any information on that. So when people start making these claims that they know, that's that would be a Gnostic theist, because they believe that they know that there's a God. I'm what you would call an agnostic atheist. So you could be an agnostic atheist, and you could be an agnostic theist. Agnostic means that you're not convinced. You don't believe, or you don't know. I'm sorry. You don't know. Agnostic, because Gnostic is you know. Agnostic, you don't know. I'm an agnostic atheist. I don't believe in God, but I'm open to the possibility, because it's just a claim that can't be proven. I don't know if that claim can be proven later, eventually. So I'm not ruling it out, you know. And that's all I'm saying with that claim of that there is a God. I'm not ruling that out. But it's very, very, very. I think it's more unlikely than likely that there is a God. So of course that's what makes me an atheist. But let's go back to the comments here. When Martin Luther King, well, let's go back up. I think I missed a few. It says, Chris Hicks, 1619 to 2019, slavery of the tribe of Judah is over. 2020 and beyond, the awakening, the restoration of true Israelites, and the end of Esau's rule. Esau would try to destroy the world before that time. End of America, mark of the beast, nuclear war. Jesus is truly our only hope. Wake up, Judah, we are cursed. Wow, so we got a Hebrew Israelite in the house. Welcome. Welcome to San Miguel TV. Thank you for coming. I love when Black Hebrew Israelites join. And then Fly Guy Locks, my brother, you say, when Martin Luther was commissioned to transpose the Bible into English, King James made him put in what he wanted to fit in the dogma of what he wanted in the time to keep control of the people. Yes. Did y'all read that? That's the problem with believing and trusting in these books. That's the problem. So great point, Mr. Fly Guy Locks. I've known this guy for years. That's my dude. And then Pastor Porkchop. Why do y'all keep saying Esau's the white man when they were twins? Yeah, man. That's crazy how they say that. And according to the time frame, if you want to look at the time frame of when supposedly Abraham or Isaac, what is it? Esau and Jacob, when that was supposed to happen, right? This was I'm trying to get the time frame, maybe anywhere from 4,000 to 2,000 BC. I know that's a big time frame. It's probably closer to 3 to 2,000 BC. I think that's the time frame that they say that this happened. But again, people's sense of history and Bible believer believes that the earth is very young, as opposed to what science and what people that actually study these things say. So at that time, my point is, at that time when Jacob and Esau would have been born, there were already Caucasian people all over the world. So, I mean, man, there's so many ridiculous claims that Hebrew Israelites make. They won't bother the prosthetic books. Esau was albino. Chris Hicks is a Black Hebrew Israelite, I take it, in which created that nation, 2 nations, red and hairy all over. Oh yeah, let's get into the description of Esau. In Genesis chapter 25, it says he was red all over like a hairy garment. So if it was hair, if he was completely covered in hair, you can't see his skin color. So the description of that color is describing the color of his hair, not the color of his skin. So that's another thing where Hebrew Israelites mess up at. It's not describing the skin color of Esau. These guys were brothers. And what happened? Where did the seed of Israel is not Abraham? Didn't it come from Abraham and Isaac? That's where the scriptures doesn't make any sense. You have Jacob and Esau who are brothers. How are they not the same people? You're saying they're two nations. When does that ever happen? Where you have two brothers that are born and their genetic makeup is just completely different. And I'm not just talking about one of them having a skin color, because I know that could happen. I've seen that. That has happened, where the skin color is different in the genetic in the makeup, but the genes are still exactly the same. That you can test their DNA and see that their DNA still matches up, and you can tell that they're brothers. They just might have certain differences in the eye color or in the hair color, but you're not going to have it where you have a person born with one brother has coarse hair and then the other brother has straight hair. I don't think that's ever happened before, but if you could show me that, that's fine, but it still wouldn't prove that the story of Jacob and Esau are true, because the time frame is off. The story doesn't describe Esau as, having blue eyes. It doesn't describe Esau as having blonde hair. It doesn't describe Esau as having pale skin. It doesn't describe Jacob either, which I know why, because I guess everybody else looked like Jacob. But let me see. Blacks can create albinos. Yeah, but when you say blacks, now we're talking about a color. Now blacks, if you want to say blacks, Hebrew Israelites fall under that umbrella of being black, and so do Africans. Africans are also black, and we all come from Africa. So I don't know what you're saying. Africans are black, yes, and white people came from Africans. That's a scientific fact. But you believe in some interpretation of the Bible, which is different from believing in what science is saying, which is a fact. You don't have facts, you have a faith. Science was created by man. Science is not a creation. Science is a way of just thinking and a way of you interpreting things. So there's nothing wrong with that. Everything was created by man. The computer or the phone that you're on was created by a man. The clothes that you're wearing was created by a man. You know, there are natural things that happen, and then there are things that are created. So the things that are natural, you don't need a creator for those things. They're natural. They grow naturally. Now you want to say that you know that there is a creator for those things. Now you have the burden of proof. You need to prove that your God was a creator for those things, because not only do you say that there is a creator, you say that you know that the creator is Yahweh, Bahashem. You have all this specific claims that you make. As an atheist, I don't say that I know that there's a creator. I don't know that there's not a creator, but you're saying that you know that there is a creator. So you have the evidence, supposedly, Mr. Hicks. In Genesis, Eve had two nations as well. But why do you believe in Genesis? Why do you think that the words of Genesis are true? That's what I want to know. Why do you believe in the Bible, Chris Hicks? Why should anybody believe that the Bible is true? How do you know that these words are written by a God or inspired by a God? How do you know these things? Because people interpreted these things, and people translated these things, and they were written in different languages. God knew that these languages would die out. God knew that it's easy to trick somebody by just having a book. Why couldn't God just figure out a different way to get his message across, rather than rely on religions that die off, in written books that can be altered? I mean, this is supposed to be a God that's a supreme thinker and, supposed to plan things ahead of time, supposed to know the future. And this is a guy that created, supposedly has all this power. And you tell me that he couldn't think of a better way to relay his message to people that you believe are, supposed to receive this. Like, this is a dire message, man. To you, you think if you don't believe in this thing, you pretty much might as well be dead, right? This is what I get. Well, when you say believe in science, right? Spiritual realm. Well, I mean, prove that there's a spiritual realm. Why do you believe in a spiritual realm? Science proves things. Science, why do I believe in science? Well, you believe that your phone works. You apparently trust your phone. Every time you look at it, you're looking at it because you know that it's going to come on, and you're trusting in science. You're trusting that you're going to go on YouTube and type in San Miguel TV. You're trusting that you can find me that way and come on my channel. You trust in science. You also trust in science. That's why I trust in science, because it works, because it yields results. Give me the results that leads from the results to Yahweh. Make that connection for me. Make the connection of you, people, humans, the earth, everything on the earth. Connect that to Yahweh by proving it, by using evidence. I believe that if there was a God, that he would be able to relay his messages through people. I do believe that if there was a God, he can do that. But you believe that he does do that. Why do you believe that he does do that? Because you're the one that has all the answers, Chris Hicks. You answer these questions. You're the man with the answers. You have the connection to God. Okay, then what? That doesn't mean that God does speak to prophets. I'm saying that if there was a God, he would be able to do that. You have to prove that there is a God and that he speaks to prophets now. Where's your evidence? You do have the answers, bro. You said that you know that there's a creator. How do you know that? By you saying that you know that there's a creator, that you know that the Bible's true. Calm down. Nigga, how about I remove you? How do I remove your ass? Let me see. Oh, yeah, there we go. Timeout. Boom. Relax. Dumbass. If you ever come back on here, well, you'll see this video, after it gets posted, Mr. Hicks. So, Mr. Hicks was over here talking about the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, right? He went from asking all these, this is what they love. They love to do this damn, trying to put you on the spot, right? And you can't allow that, because these guys, they think that they have the answers. They think that they know that God created the earth. And they hate science. Like, you're an idiot, man. Science is what has you on this live chat, man. It works. It yields results. Here are the results. You rely on science every time you look at your phone because you're expecting it to work. It works. Otherwise, you wouldn't be looking on your phone. Every time you turn on your phone, you turn it on with the hopes that it's going to turned on, that it's going to turn on. You rely on it. You rely heavily on technology. This whole earth relies heavily on technology. Why didn't Jesus Christ create a phone? That's my question to you, Chris Hicks. If Jesus Christ was all powerful and God wanted to relay a message to people, why didn't God say, you know what, Jesus, let's just create the Apple iPhone right now ahead of time so we can show people that we fucking have this knowledge and we have skills. Excuse my language, but people like Chris Hicks frustrate me. That's why he realized, calm down, because your questions that you ask, you're already assuming that a God exists. Stop assuming and prove it to me. Stop asking questions that you already have a setup. You're trying to set me up by asking me a specific question. So pen and paper are technology. So what about a phone though? Why didn't Jesus Christ create an Apple, the phone? Why couldn't he do that then? So that way, every time somebody uses their phone, they can say, thank Jesus for creating the phone and giving us the blueprint of how to create these phones. So we can actually have something to show for that this guy had some type of power from on high or some type of knowledge. If God really wanted to show us and to give us a way to come to him, he would have provided better proof and better evidence than a book that we have to rely on and depend on just believing it by faith. Because faith, going back to faith is useless. Faith is not reliable. Faith is the answer that people use when they don't have any other reason. So this is why I went from a Hebrew Israelite to an atheist. Excuse me. Is because I had no reason to believe in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. I had no reason to believe in a God. I had no reason to believe in the Bible. I had no reason to believe in any of these things other than it's my faith. And all of these things are all considered mysterious things. People love to think about and dabble in mystery, right? And they'll talk about, even with aliens and ghosts, and people love to speculate, about these things. I'm about to light an incense right now. These smells calm me down. So, brother said, calm down. I refuse to calm down when it comes to people trying to set others up and lie. Because I know what you're doing with your line of questioning. When you ask questions that, loaded questions. That's the Hebrew Israelites' favorite thing to do. And a theist, dumb theists. There's smart theists and then there's dumb theists. A person like Vocab Malone is actually a smart theist. I would consider him one of the smart theists. And then there's smart atheists and there's dumb atheists. There's all over YouTube, atheism, the new atheists, right? I like Sam Harris. I love Sam Harris. Christopher Hitchens, great, smart atheists that knew about reason and logic. Those guys are just, on another level. Then you have the theists. You have the Christians like William Lane Craig. You have John Lennox. Great debaters, great theists. But they come with the assumption that there is a creator. They come with the assumption that there has to be a God. And then they reverse the burden of proof on other people all the time. You have to be chosen. So then it is not up to you then. So it's up to God, right? It's not up to you. So why do you go out and teach? If it's up to God. Why even teach? Leave it up to God. Let God spread his message out. But yeah, listen, man. People like Chris Hicks. I see you in here. My friend, you have been hurt. There is still hope for you. Oh God. I hate people that come with this pity talk. Nah, man. I'll tell you what's going on with the Hebrew Israelite and beliefs. I'll tell you why I'm very aggressive and I have a channel to debunk and debate what y'all believe. Is because what y'all do is destroy and divide families all the time. And your entire belief system comes from a damn an assumption, and just a bunch of lies, pretty much. This whole entire Hebrew Israelite belief, especially the ones that came out of the One West, 125th Street with the 12 tribe sign, it's just, I mean, if you believe, Chris Hicks, do you believe that you're from the tribe of Judah? Just say yes if you believe that you're from the tribe of Judah. Oh, Marcus G. Okay. I don't consider myself a Hebrew Israelite. I am a Judah. You don't consider yourself a Hebrew Israelite, but you consider yourself a Judite? Fly locks. Judah was part of the Israelites. That movement, bro. Okay. But okay, listen, man. The tribe of Judah. You're making a specific claim, man. Forget about what else you believe. You believe you're from the tribe of Judah. Why do you believe you're from the tribe of Judah? Because you believe that Deuteronomy 28 and 68 says that, the Israelites would be taken on ships to Egypt, and they're going to be sold, or they will be sold to the enemies, but no man shall buy them. I don't know, man. The same curses. Curses. Okay, now you're assuming that it's a curse, too. That's very spooky language. What is a curse? A curse is something that is put on you by a spiritual being. Is that what a curse is? These curses come from God. It's God cursing the Israelites by using Europeans. I mean, like, are you mad at slavery? Because the Bible condones slavery. Your God condones owning other humans as property. So, are you mad at that? Do you believe that was just? Should that have happened to your people because you sinned and it's a curse, and a curse is pretty much is your judgment. Same curses. MLK is dead. Malcolm X is dead. Marcus Garvey is dead. Yeah, that's what happens. You're gonna die too. Everybody dies. No, you shouldn't look to a man to save you. What do you mean save too? You should think about yourself individually. You think about yourself as a tribe. You're a tribal person. When you look at other black people, you think that you have to share their pain, and like you guys really have nothing in common. Let's say a Jamaican and African American. All you guys have in common is you have a descendancy and you have skin color. But as far as your struggles, you guys have all individual struggles, and you can go to countries like North Korea, you can go to China, and you can find people struggling. The curses that you attribute and you selectively, you looking at people where you live at. What about people that live, let's say, in Israel, and they're reading the Bible, and they're saying, damn, man, my people are going through the same curses, because they are going through some of the same curses. What are the curses? What curses? Let's say this, Chris Hicks. No, you're selfish because you only care about your people. That's still narcissism, because you only care about people that look like you. So you're selfish for your own people and shit. Yeah, what I mean selfish. I'm about me. I can't help the next man, and you can't help the next person either. That's what you were just saying about Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey. You're saying that they couldn't help it. So you can't help it either. You're going to die, and you can't help nobody. Why are you wasting your time when it's up to God to wake people up? It's not up to you. But let's do this. What curses did black people go through that matches with the Bible that doesn't match with any other people? Because that's what you do. You already believe that the Bible is true. So you believe that the curses are true and they have to happen. And then you look at the struggles of black people, because curses are struggles, right? I guess that's what you attributed that to. And you're saying that black people in America have to be the tribe of Judah because the curses, when it actually is talking about all the Israelites and not specifically Judah. So what tribe are you? How do you know that you're from the tribe of Judah? How do you know that you're specifically from the tribe of Judah, Mr. Chris Hicks? How do you know that? That's a very specific claim that you are saying that you know. How do you know? How do you have knowledge of this? How can I do the same research that you did to get and make the same conclusion that you came to? I want to know that, because the Bible says that no man shall buy you. That means no man shall purchase you. Yeah, you live this stuff every day. So you're thinking about yourself. So you're actually very selfish. You're not thinking about the people that are in Israel that are suffering. You're not thinking about people that are in Indonesia that are suffering. There's people that are going through hard times all over the world. What are you talking about? Your people. You're so selfish, and you only care about people that look like you. What about the other people all over the world? But who's Judah? How do you know that they're Judah? You're just inserting that. Why is that in your brain? Get that shit out of your brain, bro. Somebody planted a seed in your brain, and now you can't figure it out. And of course, you want to be Judah. You want to be chosen. Of course, it benefits you. You're looking at the Bible and you say, "Well, Jesus Christ is from the tribe of Judah." Yeah, I want to be from the tribe of Judah. You want to be a superhero, bro. You want to be a damn superhero. There's people struggling all over the world, man. You want to focus on the struggles of people that look like you, which is halfway narcissism, bro. You like people that look like you. Where's struggles, man? Everybody's going through struggles, though. But you're saying that there's a reason behind the struggles. You believe that there's a reason behind the struggle, and you believe it's related to being a Hebrew Israelite. And I want to know how you know that. Because the Bible says no man shall buy you. No man shall buy you means that you weren't going to be purchased. When you look up the definition of buy, it means to own, to purchase, and to own by purchase. So that means that the transatlantic slave trade doesn't match with Deuteronomy 28 and 68, because the transatlantic slave trade does involve slaves being bought. They were sold by their own people, and the rich people that were in West Africa sold their own people, the poor that didn't have any defense. They sold them. The Europeans ended up bringing them over here. And pretty much now you want to claim that you're a descendant of the Hebrew Israelites because it benefits you, man. So, Mr. Chris Hicks, I want to get into Deuteronomy 28 and 68. The scripture says, no man shall buy you. How do you say buy in Hebrew? Do you know how to say buy in Hebrew? Do you know how to read Deuteronomy 28 and 68 in the actual Hebrew? Because you only have the English. The Bible, Deuteronomy 28 and 68 wasn't written in English. So how do you know that the people that translated that into the King James Bible, how do you know that they translated that correctly? You got to read the Hebrew. How do you say buy, purchase in Hebrew? Why are you not answering quicker? As an Hebrew Israelite, you should already know this. Don't go looking it up now. Mr. Chris Hicks, how do you say buy? No man shall buy you. How do you say buy in Hebrew? Chris Hicks, putting you on the spot since you want to ask me questions. I got questions for you. And I got the incense burning. I'm relaxed now, brother. I got the incense burning. Y'all see that? We got the lavender. Supposed to be relaxation. I have the Blue Letter Bible. Is that sufficient enough? Oh, I love that. That's right. We was kings, mind of Joshua. I care about you. Chris Hicks, I think that, I don't know if you care about me. Google can't move fast enough. All right. He's Googling it. Hold on. This guy really thinks I am a Hebrew Israelite. I'm a follower of Christ that realized that I'm from the tribe of Judah. I want to know how do you know that you're from the tribe of Judah, though? I don't understand. Are you white or black? You don't believe in Deuteronomy 28:68? That being a prophecy of the transatlantic slave trade? Because all Hebrew Israelites believe that. That's one thing that I think all Hebrew Israelites use that scripture. If you're calling yourself a Judite, I don't understand how you're not a Hebrew Israelite. Okay, I guess you just believe that you're from the tribe of Judah, and you're not a Hebrew Israelite. You don't follow the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, is what you're saying. Okay, got you. Or the Black Hebrew Israelite doctrine, I guess. But how do you know that you're from the tribe of Judah? So that's just what I don't understand. That's a very specific claim, man. That's like me being adopted and not knowing my parents and none of that, and never doing my DNA test, and just saying that, yeah, man, I feel like I'm Brazilian. You know what? I'm Brazilian. And then I'm going to start speaking Portuguese and start listening to Brazilian, music, Portuguese music, and dressing like how they dress. That's like what you're doing. It's very similar to what you're doing because you don't have evidence. You're just guessing what you feel like, what feels good to you. I think that's what all Hebrew Israelites do anyways, whether you follow that doctrine of Deuteronomy 28:68 or Deuteronomy 28 and the curses, because you mentioned the curses. That's why I'm talking about Deuteronomy 28:68. You mentioned the curses. Deuteronomy 28. I mean, this guy really thinks. Where did you learn that you were from the tribe of Judah? Somebody had to teach you that. You were saying before that science was created by man. Well, guess what? Everything that you learn has to be a hand-me-down, unless you create or you learn something new, which is like a scientific discovery, like damn Albert Einstein, you discovered the damn atom or whatever, man, like something like that. But you're talking about that you just know something, but you can't prove it. Science proves it. You can rehearse whatever was proven through a scientific process. You can actually repeat it. So that way you can go through the knowledge yourself rather than just relying on just faith. It's just not the same thing, bro. I hate when people knock science and then they're using technology. They're using, things that require science. Like you want to believe in science when it's beneficial to you. But if you did an ancestry.com, like Fly Guy said, if you did an ancestry.com DNA test, Chris Hicks, and they said that you were a Hebrew Israelite, you would definitely believe that because it confirms what you already believe. But when you do that test, they're not going to say that because you don't have Hebrew Israelite DNA to compare it to your DNA today. So by making the claim that you're a Judite, that's called an unfalsifiable claim. Look up what an unfalsifiable claim is, because that's what all y'all do is make unfalsifiable claim. Yeah, I know that your belief. Now, Chris Hicks is saying your life requires God. Well, let me look up a little bit because I got a few things here. We got Little Saint Sakari. DNA test is proven false. Sakari Hebrew Israelites, right? I remember when I spoke to, before I get to Chris Hicks, Little Saint Sakari, holy God. I don't know if you're Sakari Hebrew Israelite, but there was a story that Gorilla Hebrew brought out when we did our interview. And he said that there was, well, tell me why how DNA test was proven false. Are you talking about the story that came out where there was a location, a laboratory that was not doing DNA tests, but they claimed that they were? Mr. Little Saint Sakari, DNA test is proven false. Who proved it false? Who proved DNA false? I want to know. I want to know like Joe. Because I think that you're talking about the story of that laboratory. Yeah, the DNA is, what does DNA mean? What does it stand for? Deoxyribonucleic acid is what it stands for. So it's something that's tangible that you could study yourself. You could go to school for these things and study this yourself, because there's people that work in laboratories that go to school for this and study this, and it's actually something that you can find in your body. And but I didn't say that DNA was false. DNA testing is false. Well, there's people that can do false DNA testing, but there's people that do official DNA testing. So you gotta do your due diligence and study and see who are the ones that are playing games and who are the ones that are actually doing the test. Because just because you have a laboratory that claims that they're doing a DNA test, and then they're actually not going by the scientific process to come to the conclusion, that doesn't falsify science or DNA testing. That actually just proves that those people were trying to scam people. Just like the ICGJC being a scam doesn't prove that the Hebrew Israelite doctrine as a whole is false. I'm not stupid enough to say, when I left the ICGJC, I didn't say that just because the ICGJC was false, that means that all Hebrew Israelite doctrines are false. I didn't say that. But you're saying that because it seems like what you're saying is because there was a laboratory that wasn't doing the DNA test correctly, like Gorilla Hebrew, stupidly said that because a damn laboratory wasn't doing the right DNA testing, and they got caught by people that sent in the swab of a dog, and they caught that laboratory was caught, but that laboratory wasn't doing the scientific process. The scientific process works, Little Saint Sakari, you little cat, little dude. Wasn't that the science is wrong? The laboratory was doing it wrong. The laboratory was scamming people, just like the ICGJC was scamming people. That doesn't make the entire Hebrew Israelite doctrine wrong. Just that's what you would believe. You would say that just because the ICGJC was wrong, that doesn't make all the Hebrew Israelite doctrines wrong, right? So it's the same way. Just because a laboratory was found and exposed for not doing the scientific process doesn't falsify DNA testing. And that's what Gorilla Hebrew was trying to say. Gorilla Hebrew is one of the dumbest Hebrew Israelites. After I watched some of his videos, he's a brave Hebrew Israelite, but man, he's dumb. He really says a lot of stupid shit. What he is just very, very attached to this belief, and he's done a lot of debating. So what he does is that he knows the responses that people has, and he tries to prepare himself to debate and to respond to these responses. But the responses are just like I showed you with this DNA testing lab, that he was trying to show that, you see, the science is it's not trustworthy. No, the science is trustworthy. You just can't go to, unreliable places. So Marcus G. Sam, I'm sorry to believe you're scared to just skip right over all of mine. It's just so many comments coming up. When you apply for a license, what do you put on your paperwork? The name of your oppressors. That's how I know we're the 12. What are you talking about? The name of my oppressors. But the thing is that Dominicans, Hispanics, I'm Hispanic. Hispanics are Spaniards, so they are the oppressors. They're descendants of the oppressors. You're making it seem as if Hispanics today are chosen. They're Hebrew Israelites, Marcus G. Are you a Hebrew Israelite? I believe the blue letter Bible. Is that sufficient enough? But why do you believe in this? Let me look at your comments, because I don't know what you're saying. What race do you put on your paperwork? What's your last name? Listen, I'm not going to answer every question, but that's how I know. How do you know that you're 12 tribes of Israel? A Hispanic is made up of Africans, Europeans, and very little Indian descent. Some Hispanics have up to 50% Taino, from what I've seen from the DNA testing. Some of them have 50%, 56% is probably the most I've ever seen. But it's very hard to find Taino that has, or a Hispanic that has 100% Taino. There's no 100%. That whole father seed thing is bullshit. There's no science that supports that whole father seed. So your whole understanding of how genetics works is all backwards anyways. Hispanic is a combination of many different ethnicities, and that's what everybody is. So I don't know. Why do you believe in the 12 tribes sign is what I'm saying. You say that that blacks and Hispanics are from the 12 tribes. How do you know that Naphtali are the Chileans? It says Naphtali is a hind let loose. How does that mean that Naphtali are the Chileans? Do you believe in the 12 tribe sign, Marcus G? My day was beautiful, man. And my portfolio is looking great, too. Actually, let me look at the portfolio real quick. Gotta keep an eye on this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they don't know what epistemology is. The Hebrew Israelites, especially people like Marcus G., Chris Hicks, I bet you they can't define epistemology. They want you to define DNA and explain it. Define epistemology and give me a reason for your belief in the foundation. My man Wilney in the house. We got a bunch of people in here. I might have to start doing these a little bit more. I could care less about DNA. Yeah, but that's the thing is, that's the problem, bro. You already have this, you already assume that what you believe in is the truth. So everybody has to be wrong if they're not talking like you now. That's the problem. You expect people to talk like you, otherwise they're wrong, right? And that's just not how it works. Science and DNA is objective truths that we can all agree with, that we can all study. With your claims of a God, I can't study that, man. I can't research that. Chris Hicks and Marcus G. I can't research none of the claims that you guys have. So you want to keep going into everything else except for proving. How do you prove, your God? You want to go into the Egyptian pyramid and the nationalities and the oppressors, and you just have the sad story of how you're so oppressed. And that's how you try to reel people in, people that, are down and out. And you try to get them to damn feel special about themselves by believing that they're actually chosen, even though they got to go through, all these hard times, which sometimes people's hard times are brought upon by their own damn actions. And you're so damn sad at, my people are struggling and my people are struggling. Some of these people put themselves in their own situation. So where's the accountability for people's own actions and where they put themselves and how they live their lives? Your people were getting paper towels thrown at them like a football. Why is that? What? Oh my God. That's so disrespectful, right? I don't care. So what? What are you talking about, my people? I thought that we was all Israelites. Paper towels. I think he meant toilet paper. Did they put themselves in that hurricane? So a hurricane is a natural disaster. Well, do you blame God for that? Well, God is doing that then. So you feel bad for them? Do you feel bad for them for something that God is doing? Because obviously you believe God is doing that, right? Marcus G. So God is behind hurricanes, right? You believe that God is the cause of hurricanes. Why? Why do you believe that? Because you don't know how hurricanes work? Because you don't know about how hurricanes work. Your easy way out, because you think that you're stupid probably. You think that you're smart actually, but you probably thought you were stupid before you knew the Bible, and you put everything on a God because you don't know how they got there. Now you say that you know that God did it. You're still the same stupid person. You just replaced what you don't know with a God created it. You're still stupid. You don't know how the process works. You don't know anything about science because you apparently you guys just like hate science or something. Well, I mean, people do put themselves. Sometimes people do put themselves in certain situations. You don't have to live in Puerto Rico either. You can leave Puerto Rico. So the fact that some people are still there, they know that this is an island that constantly gets beat up. After a while, it's like, come on, you can leave. Florida actually got flooded with, like, I think it was 80,000 Puerto Ricans after Hurricane Maria. So they're realizing that we got to go. But yeah, I understand there's some people that can't leave like that. But I'm not blaming them for the hurricane. You brought up the hurricane. What I was talking about was when people put themselves in situations of poverty, when people just kind of like ruin their lives. And because this was Chris Hicks talking about my people are struggling, but that's not up to anybody to take care of people struggling. That's up to themselves. So like, what can you do? What are you mad at? Why isn't your God helping them? Didn't your God create the circumstances that has them struggling? God created all this according to you. So they're struggling because of the circumstances that God created. So, this Hebrew Israelite crap. And this is why I eventually said, you know what? I believe in a lot of stuff for no reason. I have no reason for the beliefs, you know? Plantations. No, man. But because you're saying that because you can be taken as a slave that you have no control over your life at all, that's not true either. You do have some control over your life. Now you're going back into history 400 years. Let's stick to right now in 2020, because one thing that Hebrew Israelites love to do is cry and complain and get emotional about history. So, I mean, when we talking about 2020, you have the power right now to, build your wealth. You have the power to leave this country if you hate America. You have the power to move back to Israel, right? You have that power. Why don't you do that? You know? Yeah, and I'm not going to answer, every stupid question y'all ask, especially when you have assumptions in it. But yeah, that's all in the Bible. Are you mad at slavery though? Because according to the Bible, God condones the owning of humans. So you're not actually mad at slavery. You're mad that white people were successful at owning your black people. Your own people. And you have an inner struggle because you know that history, and you know that your people were conquered, and you probably do feel like crap. And the Hebrew Israelite belief is probably the best way for you to make you feel special, because you're mad that white people were successful at owning your people and bringing them over here and putting them to work for a long time. But guess what? According to their beliefs in the Bible, they thought that was all right. According to your beliefs, you believe that it's okay to own other people as property. You just don't like it when it happens to you. So that's very selfish for the Hebrew Israelites up in here, Mr. Chris Hicks. Where's little Sakari at? This dude ran out of here after I exposed his Sakari dumbass with the damn fake ass 12 tribes breakdown. So yeah, it's not really that you're mad at slavery, Chris Hicks, because aren't you okay with owning other people as slaves? But you're getting upset, Chris Hicks. You can't answer the question. Are you okay with slavery, with owning other people as slaves? Is that okay according to the Bible? Marcus G, you're another one, Marcus G. Are you okay with owning other people as property? Is that okay according to the Bible and according to the morals of God? Is it okay to own other people as property? Because you seem to be mad at slavery and you're bringing all this stuff up, but your Bible allows and condones these things. You can even own your own people as slaves. And the Bible creates a loophole where if you provide them a wife, now they have to leave without that wife. And that was a way of keeping the slaves with the slave owners. That's a loophole created in the Bible where slave owners were able to keep the slaves even after the year of Jubilee or whatever. If that slave decides it pays off the debt and decides to leave, he can't leave with his family. Read the scriptures. In the kingdom, it's coming. It's coming, right? When is it coming? How do you know that it's coming? Do you have a date? Because I want to make sure I take, all my holidays. I want to use all my holiday hours before Jesus Christ comes back. So if you have a date, please let me know. Because I'm trying to travel and see a few things before that. So let me know. I'm waiting. What's the date? When's Jesus Christ coming? No man knoweth. Right? How can an atheist have more? Everybody has morals, man. Atheists have morals. Everybody has morals. Slavery. That's all they know, man. That's all they be mad at. I don't, but I stay in shape for the kingdom because you're that 2/3. Yes, I am that 2/3. Yes. So you do believe in slavery then. It is okay to own other people as property. And this is the same God that was a friend of what's his name? The friend of King David, right? King David was a man that was climbing up on some rooftops one time and seeing this woman bathing, right? And King David, as perverted as he is, as he stalked that damn woman and found out that her husband was part of his army, and he had that man killed, right? He sent her man to war to kill him so he can take her wife, right? And then he got that woman pregnant. Well, he had already got her pregnant, and he said, I gotta kill this dude. And so the story says that God killed the child, and that was supposed to be the judgment of King David. So he punished King David by killing a child. So it's like abortion. Do you believe abortion is okay? Why did God abort this child? There's no morals. Even if you believe in the Bible, you have no morals, because here you have God killing a child for nothing that the child did, but for what King David did. So talk to me, Marcus G and Chris Hicks. Is that okay for that child to die? Are you okay with that? Just say you guys hate so-called blacks. Just say that. No, you're the one that hates white people, dude. And you assume that because you hate white people, that white people hate you. But you're the one that hates. That's why you have to bring up history, because you're mad at history. And you have an inner struggle. And, this Hebrew Israelite belief makes you feel special, like a superhero. You hate everybody, bro. Don't you hate white people? Doesn't God hate Esau? Weren't you talking about Esau earlier? It says God hated Esau. Aren't you in agreement with that? We're talking about your Bible. Abortion clinics are open every day. Yah controls everything. That's called a non-answer. You're not giving me any answer, Marcus G. Is it okay that babies die? Are you in agreement with the abortions? Because God killed that baby, that King David's child. God killed that child. The child didn't do anything. God also killed a bunch of children for mocking Elijah's bald head. 42 children, to be exact. So God doesn't mind killing children. So why would he be mad at abortions? Well, as an atheist, you don't think morality matters, but it doesn't seem like as a theist morality matters either, because the most of these wars have been fought over religions, holy wars. Israelites fight and kill people over their God all the time. What kind of morality is that? I love my enemies. I don't trust them. I think that you hate them. And isn't God gonna kill your enemies though? He's gonna kill them. We predetermined before we were born. If God, let me ask you this, Marcus G. Why did he repent that he created man in Genesis if he already knew the future? If everything is predetermined and God knew that man was gonna sin, why did he repent? Why did he repent and he was upset in a way that he created man? He said he repented. So he regretted. He's regretting. How can God regret something if everything is predetermined? Why did God say that he repented that he created man if he knew the future, that man was already going to do that? Let's get your mind working. Let's get your simple mind working. See if you got any juice left in there. I mean, we're talking about the morals of the Bible. I mean, apparently I'm an atheist, right? I'm a barbaric, immoral, savage. Okay. All right. Fine. Let's say that. That's okay, right? I could be that. I'm nothing anyways. But why is your God up to have double standards? Why is he killing babies? Why is he killing people for picking up sticks on the Sabbath day? It was deeper than that. Yeah, you got the understanding. See? You know everything, bro. So talk to me. You see, you're looking to worship. By asking me who is your God, you're looking to worship. You want to worship somebody. I don't have a God. I don't worship and praise and want to be a slave. You want to be a servant. You're happy to be a slave for God. That's not my mindset. No, there doesn't have to. You believe that there has to be a God. What do you mean? What is a God? Define a God for me. And how do you know that there is a God? And why do you need a God? You think a God is necessary. Without a God, you don't think that anything can be here. Why is a God necessary? I want to get into what you think and what you know, because you're the one that has all the answers. I'm just a heathen over here, just trying to find the truth, man. I'm trying to get the truth, man. Let me ask you questions and you can answer them. I'll repeat them. Chris Hicks looks like he's still in this. I don't know. Marcus G's is kind of. I mean, Marcus G, bro. You're not answering any questions. You seem to be the most vocal person in here. And you wanted me to answer your questions. I'm asking you questions too, though. You gotta be able to, do the same. Oh, you're in Denver right now. Snap. That's my brother Wilney. Damn. Denver. You see, my man over here is traveling. But the Hebrew Israelites want you to believe that you have no power and that you're just a slave and that you can't do nothing. That's what Hebrew Israelites want you to believe, that you're a slave. That's why look at some of the questions that they ask. I already asked you a bunch of questions. Do you believe that it's okay for God to kill babies? Marcus G, tell me, and don't just say yes. Say yes, I believe it's okay for God to kill babies, because I don't know what you guys are answering. Don't just say yes. Don't just say no. Answer the question. Repeat the question that I'm answering in your comment, and explain it. Y'all could do your own videos too. Y'all got your own YouTube channels apparently, right? You got your own YouTube account. Create your you could start your own shit. Explain why. Do a response video. Why is it okay for God to kill a baby when the baby didn't do anything and it was King David that did something? And the Bible also says in Deuteronomy 24:16 that God is not going to punish the children for the sins of the father. That's Deuteronomy 24:16. That's my point, Chris Hicks. If in Deuteronomy 24:16, God says that he's not going to punish the children for the sins of the father, then why did God kill the baby? Why did God kill King David's baby for the sin of King David if the child you hadn't done anything? Because the punishment was on King David and he killed the child for the sin of King David. So I'm asking, why did that happen when the Bible says that God is not going to punish children for the sins of the father? That's the question. What's wrong? It's not about you being okay because you're being regenerated. You're saying that there's morals and there's standards, right? The Bible says you can't. God is not going to punish children for the sins of the father, but he did it anyway. That's a contradiction, my dude. You don't see that? What you mean? it's okay. No, you just skipped over the contradiction, stupid. Maybe the child did something in the previous life. So now you're adding your own interpretation of the Bible. Because why do you believe that the child did something in the past life? What made you come to that conclusion? It never said anything like that in the scripture. Yeah, so God killed the children in Egypt. Okay, but the Bible says that God, and this was after Egypt, you genius. That's how you know you don't even know your own Bible. After God killed the children in Egypt, he wrote the laws. And Deuteronomy 24:17 came after he killed the children in Egypt. You don't even know your own Bible. And I just caught you, idiot, Marcus G. Get out of here, stupid. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. You just failed. Deuteronomy 24:16 came after God killed the children in Egypt. But in that scripture, he says that God will not punish the children for God will not punish the children for the sins of the father. I'm just saying that kids die. I'm saying that the Bible tells you that God will not punish the children for the sins of the father. And he did it anyways when he killed King David's child. Isn't that a contradiction? Yo, I'm telling y'all wasn't ready for me. Y'all thought you was gonna come in here and just bash an atheist? An atheist doesn't really have anything to say about a God because we don't believe in a God. We don't have proof for that. You have a contradiction on your hands there, buddy. He's just saying the kids died. Bro, you just said that God killed the children in Egypt after I'm telling you that God said that he will not kill children for the sins of their father. What are you not understanding? Bro, y'all are novice. Y'all don't know shit about the scriptures. And y'all don't even speak Hebrew. Deuteronomy 28:68 says, no man shall buy you. If you read that scripture, and if you have another translation other than the King James, you can see that it's not worded the way that King James worded it. There was an issue with the translation, the way King James worded it, when it says ye shall be sold, because they didn't realize that past tense is sometimes also when it's written in Hebrew, it could be present tense. So they made a mistake when they put sold. It should have been sell. That they were going to be sold or offer themselves to be sold, but no man bought them. That's what happened. So when you say no man bought them, how could they be sold? They wasn't sold. Nobody bought them. But that's what you do is you switch the word buy to mean something else. When we know, everybody knows that the word buy means to purchase and to own. Did y'all flee? Look, I got these cats is left. I can't deal with this. The word, it doesn't say redeem. The word redeem means buy, though. The word redeem has two definitions. It means buy. So it means purchase. You're right. It does mean purchase. The other definition for redeem is something else. It doesn't mean buy. Words have two definitions. Just like the word mad. The word mad can mean angry, and it can also mean crazy. So the word mad has two definitions. So that if I say that you're mad, that doesn't mean that I'm also saying you're mad, you're angry, and you're crazy. It can only be one. So if it says buy and redeem has two definitions, you can only go with the definition that says buy, which means purchase. You're trying to go with the second definition, which means to redeem. I already explained this in one of my scriptures. You're confusing yourself, dude. And you don't even see how you're confusing yourself. Buy means redeem. Redeem means buy. What are you trying to say? You're trying to go with the second definition, where redeem means to save, but it doesn't say that. That's the second definition. That's a whole nother definition for the word. The word buy does mean redeem. Redeem means to purchase. Stupid. The word mad also has two definitions, right? Do I need to go over that again? The word mad can mean angry and it can mean crazy. The word buy doesn't have two definitions. You're trying to jump to the word redeemed. It doesn't say redeemed. It says buy. So why don't you just stick to buy? Stop trying to go to redeem, because you know redeemed has two definitions. You know that redeemed says one definition is buy and one definition is save. And you're trying to mix both of those definitions up. But you can't do that with words. That's not how words work. Somebody tricked you into thinking that, into saying that. The word buy means quana. Or how you say, well, you said the Greek. It wasn't written in the Greek. It was written in the Hebrew, Marcus. So this is another place where you fail. Marcus G, what did it say in the Greek? Deuteronomy 28:68 wasn't written in Greek. It was written in Hebrew. How do you say the word buy in Hebrew? It's quana. That doesn't mean to save. Nowhere in Hebrew does quana mean to save and to help. Oh my God. Hebrew. I don't care about what you believe, Chris Hicks. I care about what you know. Because what you could believe is I mean, you could believe anything. What does it matter what it was written in Greek? Aren't you a Hebrew Israelite? Who cares about the Greek? What are you talking about, bro? Before English. Jesus Christ, man. Don't you know what books King James had in front of him and his men when they translated the Bible? Do you know what those books are called? Do you know about the lexicon? I bet that you don't know about those books, because you can read that and translate it into Hebrew. And the word buy means quana, and that means to purchase. But you're saying it means redeem, but redeem means to purchase and to buy. Redeem does mean to buy. But you need to read it in Hebrew. And the word buy doesn't mean to save. It says quana. You can look up the word quana, Q-O-N-E-H, or the way that you would spell it would be Q-A-N-A-H, probably. That means to buy or to purchase. That word is also, you can find it in Genesis chapter 19 when it calls God the possessor of heaven and earth. In Genesis chapter 19, verse 4, I believe. It calls God the possessor of heaven and earth. And possessor, that word possessor, is translated into Hebrew as quana. The same word that you find in Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, which says, no man shall buy you. Buy is translated into quana. Quana means own, possess, or buy. It doesn't mean anything other than that. So if no man was going to buy you, how could you be a Hebrew Israelite when your ancestors were bought in the transatlantic slave trade? So it doesn't make sense. So you've been cut again. Do you have anything else? It doesn't believe in anything. I believe in a lot of things. I just don't believe in things that can't be proven. I don't believe in Santa Claus. I don't believe in Tooth Fairy. I don't believe in a god, and any gods, whether it's Allah or Krishna or the damn elephant with 8 arms, or your Yahweh, your Yahweh or whatever, or your Yahweh, whatever you call him, or Yeshua or Yah, all of that crap. That God came from the Canaanite God and from the Canaanites. Israelites came out of the Canaanites. That's historic. You want to read the Bible, though. Yeah, no, you guys can't. I mean, you look it up. God, you should already know how to read Deuteronomy 28:68 in Hebrew. Yeah, I know you got to go, Chris. You got no answer for Deuteronomy 20:68. Y'all look that up. How you translate by into Hebrew. Not Greek, but the Hebrew is quana. Now, by doesn't mean to save. It never meant to save. How the hell did you let somebody trick you into thinking that the word by means to save? I mean, I let it happen too. But how do you still believe that when I'm confronting you with it right now? It's not about arguing, Chris. Not arguing. This is not arguing, bro. I'm giving you straight facts about how you read Deuteronomy 28:68 in the Hebrew. I know that you want to hear nice, sweet, buttery words, and you want to hear what you used to hear from Hebrew Israelites. This is not an attack. This is the truth. It says, "No man shall buy you." Doesn't it say that no man shall buy you? Why? Because Hebrew Israelites have a burden of proof that hasn't been met, and they can't prove anything. So until they can prove something, then I'll believe it. But the thing is that I didn't cut y'all off. I didn't cut off God as a no way that it can never happen. I'm still open. But the thing is that if there's no evidence, I'm not going to say that I believe in something. But I didn't cut it off completely. You as a believer are already convinced, and you are not open to the idea that there is not a God. I'm open to the idea that there is a God. I'm open to talk. I'm open to being convinced as long as you have proof. The problem is that you guys never have proof, and you always reverse it on everybody else when you are the one that claims to have all the answers. I'm not claiming to believe in a God. I'm actually still waiting for people to come with the evidence of any God. There's never been anybody that can prove a God. So what you have is, because you don't know and you can't explain things, and maybe you're not too smart, because the less educated that you are, the more that you believe in superstition and religious things. That's why you have all these rednecks and Southerners who are very uneducated that are Bible lovers, because they're just not that well thought out. They don't know about science. They're actually very anti-science. Hebrew Israelites act just like conservative Republicans, just like conservative Republicans, where y'all want to just believe in certain things that you can't be proven. And what science does is make you think and put you through the process of having a reason behind why you believe in something. Y'all made a whole list of why you believe, and you believe and I believe. I don't care about what you believe. I care about what's known and what's a fact and what can be proven, what's objective. You know what objective means? Objective means that it could be verified and corroborated, and we can all look it up, and we can all agree. The reason why you can't agree on who's the true God is because there's no truth to it. It doesn't seem like there's any truth to that claim that there's a God. Because why do you have people that believe in all these other gods? God is, if I look at it like this, Quana doesn't mean but it does. You said redeem, to save. You said no man shall save you. So recover means no man shall recover you. Wait, but I gotta look that up though, because I'm not just gonna go with what you're saying. I've never seen that quana means to recover. Every time, what you have to do is look up the word quana, right? If you have a concordance, look up quana and look up every time that it comes up and translate that into the English. When you translate that into the English and you look at the words and you look at the context, it's never talking about you redeeming or like saving somebody from perishing, or it's never talking about, it's talking about buying and owning. You can own somebody if you recover them. But now you're going into all other definitions because you don't want to deal with the word buy. So you're changing what the Bible says in order to fit what you want it to fit, what you want to believe. Yeah, but I know, where did you get that from? Because you can look up the scriptures. What I did with Quana, I looked up the definition and the meaning. It says to buy, to purchase, to own, to possess. Now, the scripture says no man shall buy you, though. Now you have to Because you already believe that you're an Israelite, you have to make that fit, and it doesn't fit. So what you do is change the word buy into redeem. I already know that God was going to do that. I know that response. I used to be a Hebrew Israelite, bro. That's wrong. It doesn't mean to save or redeem. It means to buy or to purchase or to own or to possess. Look at the word. Look at Genesis 19 vocab. What's good? Look at Genesis 19 and 4, I believe, where it says that God is the possessor of heaven and earth and the owner of heaven and earth. The word possess there is used as quana, which means to own or possess, which is why the scripture Deuteronomy 28:68 says, no man shall own you, no man shall buy you, I mean, because nobody was going to buy them. The Hebrew Israelites, there's scriptures in the book of Josephus, or there's paragraphs in the book of Josephus that talk about Israelites being brought back to Egypt after a certain time, and they were brought there in ships through the Mediterranean because it could be easier to transport a whole bunch of people in ships, and they were never bought and they died. No man shall buy you. That's what happened. That scripture was already supposedly fulfilled. So you want to change the word buy to something else. It doesn't say save or nothing. It says no man shall buy you. So you want to change, you know what the definition of the word buy is. Look at you looking for all types of other things. Quanah means to own, to possess, and to buy. You're looking for all types of other ways to squirm out of because you already came to a conclusion, bro. You were already convinced. And now that's called confirmation bias. The only way that you can confirm and keep believing what you believe is to change the word buy. Because you know that African Americans weren't bought. Well, I'm not talking about the blue letter. I'm talking about the Hebrew and what it says about quanah and buy. No man shall buy you. And Hebrew vocab alone will tell you, and all the Christian apologists like Faithful to God, he did a video on this, showing you how the actual translation of Deuteronomy 28:68 is talking about Egypt, first of all. And Egypt is a place. And you want to say that Egypt, it means slavery or bondage. But when you look up the definition for Egypt or Mizraim, it doesn't mean slavery or bondage. You can look that up. So that's where you lie right there, just to fit. Because you know that if it says Egypt, it can't possibly be America. So you got to change that lie, or you got to change that into a lie. And then when you get to the point where it says no man shall buy you, now you got to change that into a lie. But what it was trying to say is that they were going to be offered to be sold, but no man was going to buy them. But it was translated and put, and the way that King James had it worded was incorrect. And you're trusting King James, you're trusting in a man's translation to be accurate, and you just want to go with whatever you want to go with. So you want to say that you believe in God, but you're actually trusting. A lot of your faith goes into man and what they believe or what they have done. You're just trusting these men because you want to trust them. You want it to go with what you already believe. What did you look up in the blue letter that it says no man shall buy you, right? You got the most accurate. You can look up what's the most accurate. Why don't you Google that? What's the most accurate translation of the Bible? It'll tell you that most scholars say the ESV, I believe, the English Standard Version. I forgot what's the one that vocab likes to go with. Most scholars, like James White, I believe they like to go with the ESV, and then there's also the ASV, I believe. I'm not sure. But it does say that one other translation will say that you shall offer yourselves as slaves, but no man shall buy you. So the King James, when you look at the translation, was actually incorrect. So I mean, these are some of the reasons why I couldn't continue to be a Hebrew Israelite, because I didn't do good research. I was actually just believing a lot of this stuff. It just sounded right. So, this whole video, this whole live turned into me checking out the comments, because I like to be more interactive. Things never go as planned for me. But I'm gonna do these more often. It's been 2 hours. It's 11 o'clock, 11:30. I'm gonna get on next Sunday at 9 p.m. Most likely. If it changes, I'll let y'all know. But just in conclusion, the reason why I went from Hebrew Israelite to atheism is because after I realized that my church was teaching some falsehoods, I still believed in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. I was actually going to join IUIC because my cousin was telling me to go to class. So when I joined when I talked to my cousin and he told me about the IUIC, that's when I started going into the 10 tribes breakdown. And I started realizing that 10 tribes breakdown was incorrect when it says that it took them 1.5 years to get through that country. That's showing you that it took them 1.5 years to get through a country that's on foot. You don't get through a country by taking a boat. And that's where the Hebrew Israelites twist another scripture where it says that it took them 1.5 years to get through that country. They say, oh, it means to that country. But it clearly says through that country. The only way you can get through a country is if you're on foot or on land. You can't get through a country on water. It doesn't make sense unless there's a river going through the entire country, which doesn't make sense. That's not how America, that doesn't make sense. So that whole breakdown, that 12 tribes, 10 tribes breakdown, once I realized that's incorrect, I realized I'm not an Israelite. I watched a documentary on BBC, which is called Who Wrote the Bible? And I got into who wrote the Bible and the history of the translation of the Bible and the lexicon and the Greek and the Hebrew and how it got to be what it is today. And they went into the King James and how that was formed. And I realized that in that documentary, it brought out a story in 2 Kings chapter 20 or chapter 19, I believe, where it talks about Sennacherib and it talks about the Assyrians, right? So when the Assyrians took over the 10 tribes and all the tribes, after they took over the 10 tribes, they came to Judah, to the kingdom, and I forget the king. I think it was Josiah at the time. I might be wrong. But the king was surrounded by Sennacherib and his army. And that's actually true history. You can find that in something called Sennacherib's Prism. This is archaeology. And it was translated to show that the story in 2 Kings chapter 19 does have accuracies to it, historical accuracy. This is why I still like the Bible. This is why I still read the Bible. But the only thing that was missing from the story where the Assyrians came was the part where in the Bible it tells you that angels came and fought off the Assyrians and killed off a very round specific number, like 200,000 Assyrians. But Sennacherib lived and remained and went off back to his land. But that's part of the story with the angels is not in the historical context that shows you in Sennacherib's Prism that the story happened and that they were conquered. The Israelites were conquered. How could the Israelites be conquered and then angels come and fight them off? But, the Israelites still remain conquered. The 10 tribes never came back. The kings of Israel still had to pay tribute to Sennacherib years for decades after. So all those stories were written afterwards by the Israelites, and they added things in there to make their defeat seem not as bad as it looked, but they were defeated, and that was historical. So they were trying to make it seem like God was still with them and God still came through and helped them, but they got defeated and they got ruled over. So it doesn't make sense. That whole story shows you That's what showed me that there's an issue with the Bible where it has some truths and they throw in lies like the magical, spiritual, things like angels and crap like that. So that's where you have a historical text that doesn't corroborate with the Bible. And the only thing missing is the superstitious damn belief of angels coming down, and they didn't kill Sennacherib, but they still helped the Israelites because God is still with them. Like, come on, man. You don't see that there's an issue there? That's how I went from believing in the Hebrew Israelite doctrine to only believing in the Bible to now only believing in a God and not believing in the Bible. So once I started I still believed that some things were true in the Bible, but I didn't have this devotion that people like Marcus G and Chris Hicks have, which is so, it's so, you worship the words. You're like slaves to the words of the Bible. You believe in a God, but you go further and say that you also believe that the Bible is the words of God. So not only do you believe in a God, you believe that the Bible are the words of God. You have a lot of claims that you don't prove that you believe in. I know you don't realize these things because you think that you could just believe it and you don't have to provide a reason, but other people do, but you don't have to. No, you still have to provide a reason for why you believe that the words of God are the Bible. I don't believe that. I haven't been proven that. Why would the words of God have where you can own other people as humans and kill babies? And the Apocrypha is ridiculous, by the way, Marcus G. The Apocrypha is known amongst everybody, all scholars, that it's so many inaccuracies. In the book of Judith, it says that Nebuchadnezzar ruled Assyria. That's not historical. So the Apocrypha has lies in it, inconsistencies. Nebuchadnezzar never ruled Assyria, but yet it says it in Judith chapter 1. Why is the Apocrypha lying? Because history shows you that Nebuchadnezzar, even in the other scriptures, it shows you that Nebuchadnezzar ruled Babylon. So, yeah, no, there's no proof. You want to believe that the Bible is the words of God. You want to believe that because if you were born in Saudi Arabia, you would believe that the Quran were the words of God, and you would be in some other cult that dealt with Muslims and that's more extreme than the mainstream beliefs in Allah, which is similar to the Hebrew Israelites. It's a fringe belief when there's actually yellow fella. Let's talk about aliens. That's a good topic, right? Aliens. Now, there's I mean, that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get into all that. But, I think Chris Hicks believes that aliens are angels, and angels are aliens and all of that. Yeah, the Apocrypha does have some witchcraft spells. I actually love the Apocrypha, man, for the book of Ecclesiasticus. That book is amazing. I like books like that tell you wise sayings. That's the stuff that I like in the Bible, because some of those, even though it's not always true, like it is. Some of the things are true, like the Bible says, two are better than one. That's some truth to that. So there's some good things in the Bible. But when it tries to talk about history, the problem is that the people that were writing the Bible were writing it after the events already happened. So everything that they were getting, all the information was all word of mouth. So when they started writing, there were other people writing stuff too all over the world. So there's a lot of inconsistencies with some of the stories, especially in the book of Maccabees with the angels. That's another story that has angels that came down to fight. That's nowhere in history. You don't think anybody would write that down? That, man, we were in a battle with the Israelites and these forces came out of nowhere. We should never mess with the Israelites. They would write that down and say, yo, this is what happened. And that would have been written by Sennacherib in his prison to say, that, these Israelites, they have a God dealing with them. We can never mess with them. That should be in their history, in their books. But that's not in there. doesn't never mention anything about Israelites having angels come and help them fight wars. That's something that obviously sounds good to the Israelites, to those people. That's something to clean up their history. So where the history shows that they were conquered and it's a little embarrassing, they can still have some redemption to show that, you see, God was still with us, though. That's why all of that is there. Created in his image. So God has teeth. Does God have teeth because he needs to chew on meat? I want to know, Chris. Does God have nipples and armpit hair? And because it says he has a beard. So I'm guessing that he might have some armpit hair, and hair in other places maybe, because it says God is a man of war. And so he's a man, right? What makes God a man? Because he has a beard? Or does he have other things that makes him a man? And if he does, if he was created in the image of a man, then that means that, listen, man, if we had 3 eyes, we would have created a God that also had 3 eyes, because we created God in our image. Man created God in their image. That's why God looks like us. Just like the Indians' God, everybody wants a God that looks like them. Hebrew Israelites' God has a nationality, has an afro. So their God looks like them. So you can see there's a pattern here where people think that their God looks like them. So humans believe that their God looks like a human, because man created God in their image. Man wasn't going to create a God that looked like a hippopotamus. They're going to create a God that looked like themselves. That makes them feel good. But if we looked like hippopotamuses, our God, we would have said that our God looked like a hippopotamus. But the fact that we have beards and we have teeth, why would God have a beard and teeth? God has pores and hair follicles, and he has ears. He has a brain. He has all these properties that make us what we are. Bro, you sound like an ancient barbarian with this whole, is your God? Like, this is how people used to talk. My God is better than your God. And my God has a bigger dick than your God. And it's like this whole trying to flex thing. And it's like, come on, man. Stop trying to flex, bro. What is your God capable of, man? Prove that your God did anything, bro. Right. Tell your God to pull up, man. Listen, man. Let me tell you something about what your God doesn't do. Or let me ask you a question, actually, Marcus G. If you knew that a child, let's say a little girl that you knew personally, even if you didn't know her, but let's use the analogy that you do know a young girl. Let's say this young girl is your daughter, even a cousin or even a niece. If you knew that that girl was being touched and raped and molested, wouldn't you actually make it your business to try to stop that? Wouldn't you put, that's in your power to try to do something about it? Wouldn't you do something about that to try to prevent that, Marcus G? Or Chris Hicks, you can answer this question too. Because you want to attribute things to a God. So I want to do something now. Well, all right, but that's not what whatever. But that's not what I'm saying, Chris Hicks. As a theist, you believe that is wrong, right? So you would stop that, right? If you knew that, Marcus G, if you knew that, a girl that you knew, a young child, a little girl was being raped and constantly molested, wouldn't you try to stop that? And you knew that, you found out somehow, wouldn't you make that your business to try to end that? Don't you care? It would bother you, and you would want to stop that, right? You would. Chris Hicks, wouldn't you want to stop? Wouldn't you want to stop that at all? It bothers you, right? I know it would bother me too. And Chris Hicks is trying to play a game and say that it's not wrong. But whatever. Let's say that's what you want to. What I'm going into what you believe. Y'all always want to go into what I believe. I want to go into what you believe because you have the answers. Well, what I'm getting at is that why isn't your God stopping little girls that are molested and being killed every day? If that's that's his kids, we're his children, and we're creating his image. If you would stop it, why doesn't your God stop it? You say that you would stop it. What's wrong with your God? Where's he at? Why can't he stop this thing? He's just letting all these things happen. I don't believe in a God. That's what a definition of an atheist is, Chris Hicks. An atheist is a person that is not convinced that there are any gods. Just like you. You don't believe in any God. I'm sorry, you believe in one God. So you're an atheist too. I just believe in one less God than you believe, because you're an atheist to all the other gods that are out there. You're an atheist. You don't believe in all the other gods. Just like me, I don't believe in no gods. I just believe in one less God than you believe. You do believe in these gods. So you're actually an atheist too to all these other gods. But but you don't know that. You're just going off of a story, and you believe the story. Why do you believe that story is true? I'm talking about today. Why isn't he doing that today? You see the stories in the Bible where you can't verify that, but you just have to take it on faith and just say, you just have to believe that it did happen. You don't know that it happened. Why isn't God doing any of this today? There's so many stories where God intervened back then where we can't prove it, and we can't go and research that because it's in the past and there's nothing that can prove that. Why isn't he doing that today where we can actually prove it, where we have cameras now, we have all types of devices where we can actually record a God if a God does appear? But you want to tell me that no, he's not showing himself anymore, but he used to. How do you know that he used to? Obviously, it's very convenient for somebody to say that because they can't prove it. You make a lot of unfalsifiable claims. Why are you asking that question, Marcus? You are the one that has an answer for what happens to wicked people when they die. You're the one that claims to have that answer. I don't know. I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens after you die. You're the one that claims to know. I want to know, how do you know what happens? You tell me what happens to wicked people, because your questions project what you already believe. So I don't agree. I don't necessarily agree with some of the things that you are assuming in your questions. Because we should all have morals. What do you mean? Why not? Why don't you just do that? Why don't you just have a free for all? If you're a child of God, why don't you take the kingdom? I don't think I ever was with a God. I thought I was. The Bible is not a book of morals. The Bible is a book that shows you that it's okay to kill children for mocking a prophet's bald head. That's not morals. The Bible says that it's okay to kill even children for picking up sticks on the Sabbath day, stone them. That was okay. That's not moral to me. I wouldn't do that to my child because I know that the result of that is horrible. And that's why we don't do free for all. That's why I don't just live my life, because you need limits and you have to set limits in your life. Everybody sets limits in their lives. And there's things that are just inherently, you just feel a certain way about hurting somebody. That's actually part of our makeup. So you don't want to do certain things. You don't want to see, especially family, you don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to hurt a stranger. Why would I want to go there out and just kill people? I don't have the urge to go out and do that. The reason you're making it seem that the reason why people are not killing is because there's a scripture that says that we shouldn't kill. That's not why people are not killing, or people are not being crazy. People are not, it's not because they fear a God. That's not the reason why. If your only reason for not going out and killing people is because there's a God, then you're a piece of shit, bro. That's crazy that you asked that question now that I think about it. It says, why not just have a free-for-all? So in his mind, the only thing that is keeping you from not killing people and raping people is the fact that you think that there's a God. That's fucking crazy, bro. That's insane. Now I see why some of you Hebrew Israelites are a little unstable, and y'all do some of the crazy shit that y'all do. Like Peter Moses, killing kids, Hebrew Israelite that killed children. David Anderson was the Hebrew Israelite that shot up the damn Union City. These are Hebrew Israelites. Where are the morals with these Hebrew Israelites? You know what you're going to say? Those are not real Hebrew Israelites, right? Which is a fallacy called the no true Israelite fallacy. It's actually called the no true Scotsman fallacy. But I changed it to a no true Israelite fallacy because that fallacy is what I constantly hear from Hebrew Israelites when we pull out a Hebrew Israelite that did something that they wasn't supposed to do. So obviously, the Hebrew Israelites that are going buck wild, their God is not keeping them from doing that. So what are you saying, dude? Your doctrine is not helping people. Look at Yahweh ben Yahweh. He was actually having people murdered and putting out hit jobs, and the members were doing it. Some of the members were killing. That's what the power of religion can do. It can make you think that you're following God and there is no morals, and that just because this person says it, it's true. That's how you think. Just because it's in the Bible, it's true. And you don't care. You're not even thinking things out. There's no thought in what you do. Everything is obedience and obey, and you're a servant and a slave, and you don't use your brain. You just obey like a robot. Are you done with me chopping y'all up and destroying y'all belief? Because I can do it on so many angles. We can go into scripture and do it, and I can destroy you with your own scriptures. But you said you believe in a God. What does your God do? I don't believe in a God, bro. What are you talking about? Yeah, you got Jeffrey Dahmer. You got a bunch of people that believe in religion, even Hebrew Israelites. So there's no difference between a person that believes in the Bible, a Christian like a Jeffrey Dahmer, and a person that takes on the Hebrew Israelite belief and that supposedly comes back to their identity. It doesn't seem to be helping y'all because y'all still going out here killing all types of people, even your own people, and robbing your own people, like Tazadaki was doing. And damn, the ISUPK, they're robbing their people too. They all are. The higher powers, I would consider the sun as a higher power. I mean, it's not a God. I don't know what a God, like that's, a God is something that you have to define because there is no real definition for a God. We don't know what a God is. These are mysterious, spooky things that people don't know and people can play with and trick other people with by saying, of course there is a God. And by making people think that they have some type of connection to a God that nobody has a connection to. There's no connection to God through anybody, anywhere. Who has a connection to God today that we can say, this person is dealing with God and this is what God wants from us? No, you have to go to the Bible and say that these people were inspired by God. But you're just taking that on faith. You don't know that for sure. You're taking all of that on faith. Well, there is a definition for a God. So let me reword that. There is some type of definition for what a God is, which is, I guess, a higher being that is a creator that has some type of power, right? But there's different types of gods. You can be a god that, there's gods that can die. So you have to define your definition of a god. Everybody has different definitions of a god. So everybody has different belief. As an atheist, I'm just not convinced by none of y'all. All of y'all are trying to convince people that there is a God, or y'all are already convinced. But I'm trying to get to why you're convinced. Because if I remember correctly, when I was a believer, what I used to say and think, maybe you guys have the same thoughts, was that I can't explain these things. I didn't know how the moon, came about. I didn't know how the sun came about, but you can research these things. But whatever. To me, it was like, even if you know what it does, and you might not be, you don't know how it came about, and nobody knows how this whole world came about. They have an explanation for the sun and the moon and the earth, but they come to a certain point where there is no explanation, and they tell you straight up. Scientists will say, and cosmologists will say that that you get to a certain point in their theory of the cosmology of the Big Bang or whatever cosmology. They get to a certain point and they can't research beyond that. So it's just right now they don't have the ability to do that, the technology to do that. But I think it could happen eventually. But because there was no answer for how everything started, I came to an assumption that it has to be a God. But I don't have an answer for that. I don't have a proof for that. I mean, it was just kind of like a default position that I took because I didn't have an answer. But the default position, when you don't have an answer, is I don't know. That's the default position. The two witnesses will lay in the streets and the whole world will see them, aka social media. So now you're going into an interpretation, your interpretation of a scripture. So you're saying George Floyd. Wow, I don't know what you're saying, bro. But that's why I became an atheist, is because the burden of proof is on the person saying that a God does exist. And that the burden of proof is on you, to come and pretty much provide that explanation and just prove it. Just you saying that you don't have any other answer, you don't have any other reason, then that's not true. The same people who said people come from fish, birds come from fish, and people evolved from chimpanzees and apes. Way to go, science. Yeah, evolution is proven. It's actually proven, bro. We did evolve. I don't know if you know any science, but we have evolved. Like, that's a fact. That can be proven. Why are chimpanzees still turning into human? You should Google that, Marcus G. Why aren't chimpanzees still turning into humans? I used to say the same thing, Marcus G. That's not a creative thought or question. You should Google that, because that's a very common question. The Americans came out of the British. Why are there still British people? If Americans came out of the British, why are there still British people? That's something that people say. If humans evolved from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? But you switched it up a little bit. You said well, it's not my perspective. See, this is where you're projecting how you think. All of what you're saying is actually your own perspective. Science doesn't have a perspective or an opinion, bro. This is all based on evidence, and you have the fossil records. You have so many things that can prove that evolution is real, bro. I mean, there's so many things. It's not even a question anymore. Like, religious people used to question this thing. Now you have it where religious people, they have to concede it because there's just an overwhelming amount of evidence that proves that evolution is real, man. I mean, that's not my profession, so I can't prove it to you, but it is objective truth that can be proven, and you can go study it yourself. We can't go study that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin. There's nowhere to study that. There's nowhere where we can prove that. Oh, I don't know if you believe that, but there's nowhere where we can prove that Yahweh is God. There's nowhere where we can go and prove that God created humans. There's nowhere where we can prove that. But let me go back to your question. Why aren't what was it? What was your question again? The same people who said, oh, why aren't they still turning into humans? Well, what they I think this is a confusion that's among Hebrew Israelites. But let me see. I like to hear perspectives. I don't have all the answers, bro. You guys are the ones that have all the answers, because God is all knowing, right? And you have a connection to God. And you guys are telling us, you guys want to tell us that that God created the earth. I don't know how the earth came about. That's not, you know how the earth came about. But I'm only asking, there are still some apes and chimpanzees that haven't seen or human interference, but no man-monkey babies. But the thing is that chimpanzees and humans have common ancestors. So you're making it seem like they came directly from them, and then that's not how it works. Chimpanzees and humans have common ancestors. That's how it works. So you don't have a good understanding of science. And I never said I have all the answers either, but listen, you as a theist, you're saying that you have a connection and you know that there's an all-powerful being that created everything. And this God has all the answers. And he's giving you some answers, like, about morality. He's giving you all this information, which I just schooled you on. And you guys never responded with the whole damn King David and his son, and how the scriptures tell you that children are not going to pay, but yet you still have where the children did pay. So there's no morality. There's no laws. You guys should be able to do whatever you want according to your own Bible. But what you call it? Yeah. So humans and monkeys all evolved from the same ancestors, so they have a connection. It's like a branch. Everything that's here evolved from something that was already here. You are saying that God made things magically appear one day out of nowhere. God made things magically appear. Things don't just magically appear. Things take a time, and it's all a process. And evolution is a process. We're still evolving. Things don't stop evolving. Evolution is not stopped. Everything is still evolving. Chimpanzees are still evolving. You don't live long enough to see the changes of evolution. The timeline that we live in is just not long enough for you to see the changes over time. But you can see certain things that change, kind of like the fish. There's fish that actually walking on water, that fins actually come out. And what happened with the fins, how we have hands, is that what were once fins actually spread out into fingers. And that's what we have today. You also have something called a tailbone, Marcus G. What's the only bone in human body that regenerates? The only bone in human body that regenerates. I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up. High-minded lover. Yeah, you can go have it proved to you if you understand. The thing is that if you have no understanding of how a certain field, biology, works, for example, if you don't understand biology, you think you're going to sit down with a biologist and understand everything that he's saying? You're not, but he'll try to explain it to you as easy as possible. But why do you have a tailbone, Chris Hicks? You have something that's called a coccyx, which is a tailbone. Do you know what that is? That's because we've evolved from something that once had a tail. We don't need tails. That's been something that we evolved from, that you still have, and you can see in biology, in your makeup, You have something called a tailbone. Why do we have a tailbone? Coccyx. So, I mean, so many things involved. I mean, when you look at the whole earth, you have species like in Australia, right? So I guess an appendix was a lung. I mean, I don't know what you're saying, bro. What does that have to do with a coccyx or a tailbone being proof of evolution? So you're saying because that's proof of evolution that an appendix is a lung? That one thing leads to another. You're going down a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope right there. But you believe in Noah's Ark and you believe in the Bible, Chris Hicks and Marcus G. Anybody on here that believes in the Bible? You have animals that were brought onto Noah's Ark, species of animals, predators and preys, and insects, right? And all these things that you believe have the breath of life or a spirit, right? Whales, I guess you believe whales have spirits, dogs have spirits. Do you believe that flies have spirits and fruit flies have spirits? Because fruit flies actually come out of fruits, and that's actually something that can prove to you that evolution is real, because you have fruit flies. You have a fucking living thing that come out of a fruit. That's a living organism that comes out of a fruit. So do fruit flies have spirits, Chris Hicks? Do mosquitoes and flies have spirits? And all of that. But either way, you had a so-called worldwide flood that has been debunked and disproven by all types of scientific fields. You have the marsupial species that are in Australia. Australia is completely surrounded by water. Now, how did kangaroos get to Noah's Ark? And then how did they get back to Australia? If they are only in Australia, you cannot find the marsupial species, wallabies, kangaroos, and all these other species that you find, the emu, all those that you find in like New Zealand and Australia. The thing is that when you have a magical answer like a god, you have that magical answer like a god. That answers everything because his magic can be an answer for everything. So you created a being in your mind that serves as an answer for things that you can't explain. So I'm asking, how did kangaroos jump over all the water to get to Australia? But also, Marcus G, Pangea, okay, but there are no bones of kangaroos anywhere outside of Australia. Wouldn't there be a trail that led from the Middle East, from Turkey, from Mount Ararat? Because obviously it took time, so some of those kangaroos had to die off and their bones had to be found in other places, but you don't have that. And then also when they die, all those animals that died, they would have drowned, and then after they came down, you would have bones of kangaroos all over the earth. But you don't have that. You only have kangaroo bones in one part of the world, which is in Australia. There's no way that there could have been a worldwide flood. There's just no way. It's been debunked like so many ways. And for anybody that still believes in these stories in the Bible, like Noah's Ark, it's just crazy. Fossil fuels and oil comes from the earth. You're asking me questions about things that are here. You believe that those things are here because of a God. You believe that. I want to know why you came to that conclusion. And then more specifically, you have a specific God. You don't just believe in a God, because I was at the point where I didn't believe in the Bible, and I wasn't a slave to the Bible like you guys are, where you have to believe every word. And if it doesn't fit, if something doesn't fit, you have to make it fit. That's why. That's what happens when you believe something first before you have proof. You come to the conclusion first, and then you make your way to that conclusion by changing whatever you need to make it make sense. So you have no answers for these things. You talk about a Pangea. I'm not a slave to science, bro, because science is not a god. You don't worship science. Science doesn't tell you that you're going to go to hell. Science doesn't tell you that you're going to burn in hell. You must obey what I say. It doesn't tell you that. They don't really force science on you unless it's something that is going to be beneficial. So religion and science is not the same thing. Religion is dogmatic. Thank you, Mike. Mike Stevens, my brother, man. I've seen you all in my comment section for a long time. But yeah, science is not dogmatic. So that's very good. That's a very good thing to go off. The Bible and God is very dogmatic, where you can't, there's no way around it. It just is, and that's it. That's not what science does. Science is always evolving and changing because we don't have all the answers right now. We're finding new things all the time, and we're constantly evolving, and our technology is getting better and more accurate. So science is not like a religion. Religion tells you you have to obey. Science doesn't do that. So try again, Mr. Hicks. Man, you guys, I mean, I used to talk just like you. So I like the questions that you guys ask, I already have the answers for that because I used to think like you, you know? Now, science is not a religion because a religion is non-changing. That's what you're not understanding, Chris Hicks. A religion is dogmatic, and it says what it says, and that's it. Science is not like that. Science is based upon new discoveries. You constantly have things that are adding on and you know, to what we already know. So it's not like things are completely changing. You know, science is not going to say that, oh yeah, we got it wrong. We actually didn't evolve from you know, from chimps. You know, we actually evolved from tigers. That's not going to happen. That's not what science is going to do. What science is going to do is just get more accurate over the time. So that's what happened with Newton's law, and then that's what happened with what you call the what do you call it? Einstein's law now. What do they call it? The law of gravity. Yeah, my bad. And the law of relativity. That I mean, not only did it replace, it didn't mean that Newton's law was completely false. There were some things that were off, but he had a good model, and what Albert Einstein did was just make it more accurate, and that's what science does. It's just make things more accurate. The Bible and religion doesn't do that. The Bible tells you that you have to rely on faith. Science doesn't rely on faith. Science tests things. They constantly experiment. They have results. You have to create variables for what might, you know, interfere with your results. All of those things, that's a way of thinking. Science is a way of thinking where before you come to a conclusion, you test things and you make sure that you, you know, experiment. That's not religion. Religion doesn't require any of that. Religion only requires you to believe based on faith. Science doesn't do that. I mean, science has it to where it's objective, to where if they tell you, listen, if we put fire at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, then we can make this boil, the water boil, and that's a fact because we can test that. We can try it. You can try it. The next person can try it, and we can all try it, and we can all come to one conclusion that says that the boiling point of water is so and so. That's science. We can't do that with your Bible and your God and religion. That's why there's so many different gods and religions, because you can't do what science does. It's all based on faith. So therefore you have Allah, you have Yahweh, you have Yahweh, you have all these different gods. So try again, Chris. You failed again. Faith in science is going to stop racism or global warming. Are you one of these idiots that think that racism is the damn biggest problem right now in this world? When you are probably goddamn racist yourself. Hebrew Israelites are the most racist people out there. That's a whole nother story. This whole social justice, damn Black Lives Matter crap. Were you part of Black Lives Matter and shit, trying to fight racism? Listen, man, racism is here, and I don't think it's gonna go away. That's a fucking feature of a human. That's not a bug. That's a feature. Science is just the new age religion. A religion is not like science. I don't know if you just heard what I explained, Hammer, but you know, I'll post a video. You can rewind it. True racism is natural. Yeah, people are naturally inclined to favor somebody that looks like them. Hebrew Israelites used to always say, I'm not racist, or I am racist. They'll admit that I am racist because I'm for my people. But being racist is pretty much discriminating based on somebody's race. And that's what the Bible does. When you look at the Old Testament, it tells you that God chose the Israelites, and they're the chosen people. The Bible is racist as hell. You talking about science fighting racism. Your God created racism. If you believe in God, your God created racism. He created the races. He created the circumstances for by which we are racist to each other. God created this damn thing. God is racist. Yeah, that's what y'all believe. God is racist. God has a race. How can God be racist if he doesn't have a race? He's a spiritual being. God has a race. He has a chosen people, right? That's discriminating. That's racism. You're giving one people a privilege over another. I know he chose the Jews according to the Bible. Why did he choose the Jews? Why did he have to choose anybody? Yeah, whatever. So, yeah, Jesus and the Jews and all this talk about chosen people, it's like this is where racism gets worse. This is how you have I mean, even till this day, you got people that think like this. And I mean, I don't think it's the biggest problem. It was a bigger problem a few hundred years ago, racism. I don't think it's such a big problem where it's stopping people from being successful. It can. I don't think it's happening on a major scale. You can do whatever the hell you want. You can create your own business. You can create your own wealth. You can invest. You know, you can do so much right now that you know, can benefit yourself. We're living in a completely different time. So you know, for you to say that science is like a religion, it's just not. And I don't have to believe in science. Science doesn't condemn you. Science doesn't condemn you to hell. Science can change over time and become more accurate, rather not completely change. Although you have had sometimes in the past where certain things have been retracted. But that's okay. The fact that we could do that is good, because we should be able to change things and upgrade and correct things. So, I mean, we could talk all night. I love talking to believers because y'all are some interesting people. The Hebrew Israelites, y'all are just interesting as hell. And they say you can see your rosary on your desk. Where? On my desk? You can't see my desk. My desk is down here. I think what you see is the mask. Yeah, man. Yo, Chris, man. Thank you, man. I really felt that. And if I offended any of y'all, good. Just kidding. But offenses must come, right? But y'all, thank you for listening to me, tuning in, and y'all really gave me some things to think about. I'm gonna look up that Quran being recover, but I think if you look up recover, it could still mean owned, right? But we'll talk about this next week. The topic next week, I'll have it up. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'll put it up. Like sometime this week, you'll see it. I'll have it set up to where it'll notify you guys. So if you want, hit the bell because it'll notify you. Like I said, my channel was being like blocked by YouTube or something or ghosted. So please like my videos, subscribe, all that stuff, man. Thank you for tuning in. This is San Miguel signing off. And Sunday at 9 p.m. I'm gonna do this every Sunday at 9 p.m. I don't think it allows the super chat donate until I get 1,000 subscribers. So I want to get to 1,000 subscribers eventually. I was gonna shut this channel down. You can ask a few brothers. I was literally gonna shut this channel down, or just not shut it down, but just not doing any more videos. But I kind of like doing these lives. I think I'm gonna keep doing this. I don't have to edit it. It still takes up time, but I don't have to edit it. But yeah, give me money, man. Pay your tithes and all of that. But I have a Patreon. I have it on some of the links in my videos. I haven't put it up since like months, so you have to go back in my videos. And I think you could donate through there because somebody donated some money. I'm not here for donations. Definitely not my reason, but it'll help. Maybe I could get a new desk. I got an old wooden desk here that needs to be repainted or remodeled or something. But you don't have to. If you want to, that's good. I'll definitely take a donation. And that's pretty much it. Marcus G, Chris Hicks, I invite you next week. We'll do this again. And everybody else, Mike, Fly Guy, Wilney, Vocab, everybody that was on here, thank you for joining. Mad love, nothing but love. I want y'all to think, use your brains. Don't let people tell you, anything, study everything, be critical. And I'll see y'all next week, all right? Be safe, y'all. Peace out.